Ladies and gentlemen, listen carefully, because this may be the message that shifts the entire direction of your life. There comes a moment in every person's journey when they must confront a difficult truth. Your time is the most valuable gift you will ever possess, and it is slipping through your fingers whether you use it or not. The tragedy is not that life is short. The tragedy is that we waste most of it on things that do not matter, people who do not grow us, and habits that do not honor the potential placed inside us. You were born with purpose. You were born with assignment. You carry within you seeds of greatness, ideas, talents, capacities, visions that are waiting for you to stop being distracted long enough to cultivate them. The problem is not lack of potential. The problem is lack of focus. Time wasted is destiny delayed. And nothing is more expensive than a season you never used correctly. Focus is not optional for those who desire to rise. It is the discipline that separates the ordinary from the impactful. When you focus on yourself, you are not being selfish. You are being responsible. You are saying, my life matters enough to be developed. My purpose matters enough to be protected. My future matters enough to be prioritized. If you keep giving your energy to arguments, gossip, comparison, and distraction, don't be surprised when you feel empty, lost, and behind. You cannot build anything meaningful while living in the noise of other people's expectations. You must withdraw from the unnecessary so you can invest in the essential. You must silence the outer world so you can hear the inner calling. You must discipline your days so you can fulfill your purpose. The world does not benefit from the version of you that is exhausted, distracted, and unfocused. The world benefits from the version of you that is intentional, disciplined, and aligned with purpose. So today, make a decision. Stop wasting time. Stop giving your energy to what drains you. Stop feeding what keeps you small. Focus on your growth. Focus on your healing. Focus on your goals. Focus on the calling that has been placed inside you. Because when you focus on yourself, when you honor your own development, when you protect your time, you unlock a power within you that transforms everything around you. Your future is calling. Your purpose is waiting. But it cannot manifest until you make the choice to stop wasting time and focus on yourself. Your time is a divine resource. Use it with intention. Time is not just a measurement of minutes and hours. It is the currency of your existence. Everything you will ever accomplish, build, or become must be paid for with the moments of your life. And unlike money, unlike opportunities, unlike relationships, once time is spent, it is never returned. This is why time carries a sacred weight. You were not given time just to survive the days. You were given time to fulfill the unique purpose placed within you. Every sunrise is a reminder that you have been entrusted with another chance to invest in the person you are becoming. Every sunset is a reminder that another day has passed. And you must ask yourself, did I use it wisely or did I let it slip through my fingers? Many people underestimate the power of a single day. They waste their hours on distractions, arguments, entertainment, or habit that diminish them, believing that tomorrow will offer a better opportunity. But tomorrow is not promised, and procrastination is the silent thief of destiny. When you do not value your time, you are unknowingly postponing your purpose. And purpose delayed is purpose endangered. A life without intention drifts, but a life with intention advances. To use your time intentionally means to live with awareness of who you are, what you are called to do, and what your future requires from you today. When you understand that time is divine, you begin to protect it the same way you would protect anything sacred. You stop giving it away to people who do not respect your boundaries. You stop pouring it into habits that weaken your potential. You stop entertaining environments that suffocate your growth. You begin to choose your activities based on alignment instead of emotion. You begin to say no without guilt, because you recognize that every yes carries a cost. If your yes does not bring you closer to your purpose, then it is too expensive. Intention requires honesty about what matters, what distracts, and what drains you. It forces you to confront your patterns, your procrastination, your excuses, and your time-wasting tendencies. Time used with intention produces clarity. It gives you room to think, to dream, to grow, to heal. When you stop filling your days with noise, your mind becomes fertile ground for ideas, strategies, and breakthroughs. Many people ask for success, but do not create the time to develop the discipline success requires. They want transformation, but they refuse to slow down long enough to evaluate their lives. Intention is not simply about doing more, it is about doing what matters. Your days should be arranged around your objectives, not your impulses. Your moments should align with your mission, not your mood. When you live with intention, time becomes a tool, not a trap. It becomes something you manage, not something you lose. Recognizing the divine nature of time also means recognizing that wasting it is not harmless, it is costly. Every hour spent on the unnecessary is an hour taken from the extraordinary. Every day spent drifting is a day stolen from your potential. You are not here by accident. Your existence is evidence that you carry something the world needs, but the world can never receive it if you keep surrendering your time to things beneath your purpose. When you treat time as sacred, you elevate your standards. You honor your gifts. You move with purpose instead of pressure. You begin to walk with a sense of urgency, not panic, but clarity. Not fear, but responsibility. And when you use your time with intention, life begins to respond. Opportunities find you. Ideas flourish. Confidence grows. You step into alignment with the person you were designed to be. Time, when honored, becomes the ally of purpose. It becomes the silent partner of destiny. Your time is divine because your purpose is divine, so honor it. Protect it, invest it, and let every moment of your life reflect the greatness you were created to manifest. You said purpose requires focused distraction is the enemy of destiny. On 600 words, without subheadings, ChatGPT said, purpose requires focused distraction is the enemy of destiny. Every person on this earth is born with a unique assignment, a specific contribution that only they can make. But purpose does not fulfill itself. Purpose demands clarity, intentionality, and sustained attention. Without focus, even the most gifted individual drifts, and even the most powerful vision dissolves into unfulfilled potential. Focus is the discipline that gathers your energy, your talents, your thoughts, and your efforts into a single direction. It is the ability to plant yourself in what matters, to anchor your mind to what moves you forward, and to refuse the noise that tries to pull you off your path. You cannot walk toward your calling while constantly turning your head toward distraction. Distraction is not always loud. Sometimes it is subtle. It shows up as unnecessary conversations, emotional conflicts, scrolling through hours of content, or trying to please people who were never assigned to your journey. It appears as comparison, as doubt, as procrastination disguised as rest. Distraction feeds on your attention. And if you give it your focus, it will drain your passion, weaken your discipline, and blur your direction. The enemy of destiny is not always destruction. It is often dilution. When your attention is scattered across things that do not matter, the things that do matter cannot grow. Purpose requires a level of concentration that many people are not willing to embrace because focus demands choices. It demands saying no to what is comfortable, familiar, or temporarily enjoyable so that you can say yes to what is meaningful, long-lasting, and aligned with your calling. Focus is the invisible force behind every great achievement. People do not rise because they are lucky. They rise because they direct their energy toward their purpose consistently. They train their minds to resist distractions. They build habits that support their goals. They prioritize progress over pleasure and vision over convenience. A focused person is powerful because they are not moved by everything around them. They do not chase every emotion, every trend, or every opinion. They understand that destiny is not reached through scattered effort, but through concentrated commitment. Distraction is designed to keep you busy but unproductive, active but not advancing, moving but not progressing. It deceives you into thinking that motion is the same as direction. But motion without direction only leads to exhaustion. Direction with focus leads to transformation. If you study the lives of those who fulfilled their purpose, you will find one thing in common. They learned how to master their attention. They understood that what you focus on shapes who you become. The mind, when undisciplined, wanders toward fear, doubt, entertainment, and comfort. But a trained mind gravitates toward growth, discipline, responsibility, and vision. Focus requires training. It requires choosing what to ignore. It requires elevating your standards and be intentional about your environment. You cannot surround yourself with noise and expect clarity. You cannot spend your days reacting and expect to discover your purpose. Purpose reveals itself in moments of reflection, discipline, and alignment, moments that distractions try to steal. Distraction is powerful because it disguises itself as harmless. Whispers just 5 minutes and steals an hour. It whispers this is important and pulls you away from what truly is. It whispers you can do it later, and later becomes never. Destiny is not reached by those who drift. It is reached by those who decide. Purpose requires the ability to commit, to concentrate, to choose your future over your impulses. Every distraction accepted is a piece of your destiny surrendered. Every moment spent on what does not matter is a moment stolen from what does. If you do not take control of your focus, something else will. And what controls your focus controls your future. When you eliminate distractions and focus on your purpose, clarity emerges. Your energy increases, your productivity multiplies, your confidence grows. You begin to move with intention instead of confusion. Your decisions become sharper. Your direction becomes clearer, and your momentum becomes stronger. Focus is not just a skill, it is a spiritual discipline. It is the act of aligning your mind, your time, and your actions with the reason you were created. Purpose thrives in a focused life. Destiny unfolds where distractions are defeated. And your future depends on your ability to choose what matters over what is merely available. Personal growth demands separation from the unnecessary. Nothing hinders a person's progress more than carrying what was never meant to be part of their journey. Growth is not only about adding new habits, skills, or opportunities. It is also about removing the weight that prevents you from rising. Many people remain stuck, not because they lack potential, but because they refuse to let go of what no longer serves them. Clutter, whether emotional, relational, mental, or physical, creates confusion, slows momentum, and steals the energy required to move toward transformation. To evolve into your best self, you must create space. And to create space, you must separate yourself from distractions, toxic influences, outdated patterns, anything that keeps you small. Separation is not rejection, it is refinement. It is the process of deciding what belongs in your life and what must be released for your growth to continue. Every season of transformation demands a new level of self-awareness. You must honestly examine what is consuming your time, your thoughts, and your emotional energy. You must question whether the people around you push you forward or pull you backward. You must evaluate your habits and ask whether they nourish your future or sabotage it. Growth requires courage because separation is uncomfortable. It forces you to confront the truth about yourself and the environments you've normalized. But if you avoid separation out of fear, you remain trapped in cycles that keep you from becoming who you are capable of being. We often hold on to the unnecessary because it feels familiar. Familiarity can be comforting, even when it is harmful. You may keep certain relationships because you fear loneliness, certain habits because they feel easy, or certain mindsets because they've been with you for years. But comfort is not the same as progress. Growth requires the willingness to outgrow people, places, and patterns. It requires you to release what was useful in one season but is harmful in the next. You cannot become a stronger, wiser, more aligned version of yourself while clinging to what prevents your evolution. Separation is not a sign of arrogance, it is a sign of maturity. It is the recognition that your future deserves a cleaner environment than your past. The unnecessary drains your energy. It steals the strength you need to develop new skills, pursue new opportunities, and build a life that reflects your purpose. Every unnecessary commitment, conversation, or emotional burden becomes another anchor tied to your progress. You cannot run while carrying weights that are not yours. You cannot grow while entertaining distractions that rob you of clarity. Personal growth demands discipline. Discipline to walk away from gossip, negativity, people who demand without contributing, environments that lack vision, and habits that numb your potential. Separation is not easy, but neither is staying stuck. The difference is that separation leads to a better future, while stagnation guarantees a repeated past. When you begin to separate yourself from what no longer aligns with your vision, something powerful happens. You regain energy. You reclaim focus. You rediscover your identity. You create room for the right relationships, the right opportunities, and the right ideas to enter your life. Sometimes your breakthrough is waiting on the other side of a decision you've been avoiding. Sometimes your growth is being delayed by something you refuse to release. The moment you create space, you allow expansion. When you eliminate the unnecessary, the necessary becomes clearer. Growth becomes natural. Progress becomes visible. Your path becomes lighter. Personal growth is a process of pruning. You remove what is dead so what is alive can flourish. You remove what is weakening you so what is strengthening you can thrive. It is a continuous cycle of evaluating, releasing, and refining. You cannot carry everything and expect to elevate. You cannot entertain everyone and expect to evolve. If you want to rise, you must travel light. Separation is the gateway to expansion. And the moment you let go of what limits you, you step into the version of yourself that was waiting all along. Self-discipline is the bridge between potential and fulfillment. Every human being is born with potential gifts, ideas, passions, strengths, and possibilities that live inside them. But potential by itself means nothing until it is developed, refined, and expressed. The gap between who you are and who you could be is filled with one essential ingredient: discipline. Potential is promise. Discipline is performance. Potential is capacity. Discipline is action. Potential whispers of what is possible, but discipline builds what is real. Without discipline, dreams remain dreams, ideas remain ideas, and intentions never turn into impact. It is discipline that transforms raw talent into excellence and vague desire into meaningful achievement. Self-discipline is the ability to govern yourself. It is choosing what is right over what is easy, what is necessary over what is comfortable, and what is purposeful over what is pleasurable in the moment. It requires saying no to impulses, distractions, and emotions that try to pull you off your path. It forces you to create structure in a world that constantly invites chaos. Discipline is not about restricting your life. It's about directing your life. It is the conscious decision to take control of your actions rather than being controlled by your indulgences. Without discipline, your potential becomes wasted possibility, and your purpose becomes an unrealized story. Many people admire success, but underestimate the discipline required to achieve it. They want the results without the routine, the elevation without the effort, the reward without the responsibility. They envy the accomplished yet ignore the habits, sacrifices, and consistency that build their achievements. Discipline is the quiet force behind every great accomplishment. It is waking up when you don't feel like it, working when inspiration is absent, practicing when no one is watching, and persisting when progress feels slow. Discipline is the refusal to quit. It is the decision to keep moving forward despite obstacles, boredom, or discomfort. It is the strength to delay gratification today so you can enjoy a greater reward tomorrow. Self-discipline is also an act of self-respect. When you discipline yourself, you are telling your future, you matter more than my temporary impulses. You are telling your purpose, I am committed to you. You are telling your potential, I will not waste you. People often sabotage their own progress because they lack the ability to manage themselves. They let emotions lead instead of principles. They let convenience replace commitment. They let excuses overshadow responsibility. But the truth is simple. You cannot master your life until you master yourself. Growth is impossible without discipline, because discipline is the structure that holds your transformation in place. The beauty of self-discipline is that it develops strength in every area of your life. It builds mental fortitude, emotional stability, a spiritual depth, and physical endurance. It sharpens your focus and increases your capacity to handle challenges. The more disciplined you become, the more trustworthy you become to yourself and to others. You begin to depend on your own consistency. You begin to trust your own word. You begin to build momentum that propels you toward fulfillment. Discipline does not remove obstacles, but it equips you to overcome them. It does not eliminate challenges, but it prepares you to face them with confidence and clarity. Fulfillment is never accidental. It is the result of deliberate living. People who fulfill their purpose understand that potential is only the starting point. They commit themselves to daily habits, intentional routines, and disciplined choices. They do not wait for motivation, they build systems. They do not rely on feelings, they rely on discipline. And as they consistently show up for themselves, their potential begins to unfold. Ideas turn into progress. Talents turn into mastery. Dreams turn into reality. Discipline turns possibility into destiny. Self-discipline is not a punishment, it is a pathway. It is the bridge that connects who you are to who you were designed to become. It is the force that transforms your inner promise into an outward legacy. When you embrace discipline, you step into alignment with your purpose. You unlock your strength, elevate your standards, and move steadily toward fulfillment. And in the end, you realize that the life you wanted was always within reach. It just required the discipline to build it. Focusing on yourself is not selfish. It is responsible stewardship of your life. Many people have been conditioned to believe that prioritizing their own growth, well-being, and purpose is somehow an act of selfishness. They fear that focusing on themselves means abandoning others or neglecting their responsibilities. But true selfishness is not in self-focus, is in self-neglect. When you fail to develop your mind, your character, your gifts, and your emotional health, you become less capable of serving others, supporting those you love, or fulfilling the purpose placed within you. Focusing on yourself is not an act of withdrawal from the world. It is preparation to contribute to it in a more meaningful way. A neglected life cannot produce abundance. A drained heart cannot give compassion. A confused mind cannot offer direction. And an exhausted soul cannot inspire or uplift anyone. When you focus on yourself, you protect the vessel through which your purpose flows. You take responsibility for your emotional maturity, your mental clarity, your physical health, and your spiritual growth. You become intentional about the person you are becoming rather than leaving it to chance. Stewardship means managing something valuable, and your life, your time, your energy, your identity is the most valuable resource you have. To steward your life well means to invest in yourself, to nurture your potential, to set boundaries that guard your peace, and to cultivate habits that strengthen your character. There is a profound difference between selfishness and self-development. Selfishness takes from others to benefit oneself. Self-development builds oneself so that one can better contribute to the world. When you grow, everyone connected to you grows. When you heal, your relationships heal. When you learn, you elevate the people around you. When you strengthen your mind, you make wiser decisions that positively affect your family, your work, and your community. Focusing on yourself is an act of responsibility, not isolation. It is choosing to become the healthiest version of yourself so you can live with clarity instead of chaos, purpose instead of confusion, and strength instead of insecurity. Focusing on yourself also means honoring your boundaries. Many people sacrifice their growth because they are too available to everyone else. They stretch themselves thin trying to please others, fix others, or meet expectations that were never theirs to carry. And in the process, they lose themselves. They abandon their goals, silence their needs, and ignore their inner calling. But every time you betray yourself to satisfy others, you weaken your sense of identity. Every time you say yes, when your soul says no, you walk further away from who you are meant to be. Responsible stewardship means knowing when to separate your responsibilities from other people's desires, when to offer support and when to protect your energy, when to give and when to retreat for renewal. A life without self-focus becomes reactive rather than intentional. You drift into patterns created by other people's demands instead of building a life that reflects your vision and values. But when you turn inward, when you examine your dreams, your wounds, your strengths, and your direction, you gain clarity about the path you are meant to walk. You begin to understand what drives you, what drains you, what inspires you, and what needs to change. This kind of inner awareness is not selfish, it is essential. It allows you to navigate life with wisdom instead of confusion and purpose instead of pressure. When you focus on yourself, You give yourself permission to grow beyond past limitations. You release the fear of judgment and embrace the truth that your life is your responsibility. You recognize that you cannot pour from an empty cup, and you cannot lead a life of purpose while operating from depletion. So you build routines that nourish your mind, habits that strengthen your discipline, and environments that support your evolution as you rise. Your life begins to influence others not through force, but through example. Focusing on yourself is a declaration that your purpose matters, your growth matters, your well-being matters, and your future matters. It is not selfishness, it is stewardship. It is honoring the life you have been given by developing the best version of yourself. And the more you invest in your growth, the more prepared you become to make a lasting impact on the world around you.